Hello, and welcome to the tutorial on how to get started with Rasa using Rasa NLU Starter Pack. Rasa NLU is an open-source natural language processing tool for intent classification and entity extraction, or in simple words, you can use Rasa NLU to train your chatbot to understand what the user means. If you are completely new to Rasa NLU, then the best place to start is to go through the Quick Start on Rasa NLU documentation. But if you have already done that, then you are all set to go ahead and build your first Rasa assistant yourself. We have a Rasa NLU starter pack which will help you to get started. You can find the starter pack on the installation page of the documentation. After scrolling down to the very bottom of the page, you will find the link to Rasa NLU starter pack. Click on this link to get to the GitHub repo of this starter pack. The starter pack includes all the files and instructions of how to build your first custom Rasa assistant. It also includes some training data which you can get from Rasa community forum. The data file is called smalltalk.md. Make sure to download this file at the very beginning of using the starter pack. You will need this later. After you get the data, you can go ahead and use the starter pack to build your first Rasa assistant. The first thing you should do is cloning this repository so that you could use the files of this repo as the basis of your first Rasa assistant. Use the provided command to clone it to your local machine. If you haven't installed Rasa NLU yet, you can install all the dependencies and Rasa NLU itself by using requirements.txt file provided in this repository. This starter pack also uses Spacey English language model, so make sure to download and install it as well. Now, let's take a look at what files the starter pack consists of. This repository contains all the files you will need to get started with building your first custom Rasa NLU model. There are two main files you will use: NLU config and a directory called data. This directory contains a file called nludata.md. Let's take a look at all of these files in more detail. nludata.md file consists of a very small snippet of training data that can be used to get started with training Rasa NLU model. This data consists of a few very simple intents and corresponding examples of how the user would say specific things. Some of the examples also include entities. For example, using these training examples, we would train our NLU model to extract an entity called name. NLU config file contains the configuration of processing pipeline that is going to be used to train the NLU model. In the starter pack, you're going to use a pre-built Spacey-based pipeline. Now it's time to actually use the starter pack. You can train the NLU model by using the following command: make train NLU. This will train the NLU model and store this in your project directory. Once the model is trained, time to load it and test it. You can load the model by running the following command: make run NLU. Once the model is loaded, you can test it by sending a post request to the Rasa NLU server. The model will output the results of the intent classification and entity extraction. Now, once you trained a very basic Rasa NLU model, it's time to improve it. For that, you can use a Smalltalk dataset that you downloaded at the very beginning of using the starter pack. This data contains a lot more interesting intents and training examples. To use it, simply attach all these examples to nludata.md file, retrain the model, and test it again. And that's it. That's how you can use this Rasa NLU starter pack to build your very first custom Rasa NLU model. If you would like to learn more about Rasa NLU or have additional questions, make sure to check out Rasa documentation and ask questions on the Rasa community forum. Keep improving this assistant and share your creations with the community. We are looking forward to seeing what you can create.